Well, happy Thursday. Hello, everyone, and a happy Thursday to you. How are my fellow sensitive people? Good, neutral, bad? Hello, 1111th. Ooh, you've changed from flowers to butterflies. Do tell, has a transformation taken place? That would be lovely if it had. So, I'm wearing one of my fancy schmancy hats. Mila is somewhere around, and she's awake. No, she is not awake. Maybe she'll be awake later. How's everybody? Hi, K Travel. Hi, Jill Tilson. Hi, Melody Harmon. Thanks for helping out today. Hi, Joyce Pietras. Good to see you. Hi, Christine Brooks. Sue Malik's in the house. Hi. Hi, Annie Hamlet. She says hi to all of you. Hello, everyone. Carol Bastian, thank you for being a member. Christine, excuse me, thank you for being a member. Annie Hamlet, thank you for joining us. Tess Sam, hello. So, what are you thinking? You thinking that something's going to happen with the debt ceiling? I said that they would have it resolved in, what did I say, 3.5 days. Was that Tuesday? So, should be now, right? No, that was Sunday. So, we should be, if it's not resolved by now, either A, I got it wrong, or B, I got it wrong, or the date is off. We can certainly do some throws on it. Oh, it is almost solved. I heard that they were thinking of letting it go so that they could collapse everything, the Republicans, but that sounds crazy. I was told 3.5 days. I believe was it Sunday? Which means that it should have been resolved Wednesday night. So I'm off. So we'll figure out what the problem is. Hi, Becky Munjo. Thanks for joining us. I want to give gratitude to all of you who've decided to hang out. Thank you, everyone who's decided to become a member of the channel. And again, just deep appreciation to everybody who's donated to the channel, become a member of this channel. I can't express, there's not enough gratitude for what you guys have let me do, because with the extra time from funding the channel, I've been able to build up the channel, buy new stuff, but also it's freed me up to be able to pursue stuff I've always wanted to do but never had the time. So I've been frantically learning the guitar with the extra time that you folks have given me through your memberships. So I'm like rehearsing 2-3 hours a day. I'm trying to build my heaven on earth. And my heaven on earth, I'm a folk singer, comedian, doctor extraordinaire, right? We have to have a lot of dreams, right? So I just wanted to give gratitude to those of you who decided to be members, because I was rehearsing some Fleetwood Mac, and I was thinking, wow, how loving all those people who became members of the channel. I can do this now because I have an extra, 10, 15 hours a week because of the channel. So just wanted to thank you for that. So let's talk. I think there's enough people here. What do you guys want to talk about? Tell me where you're coming from, what you're eating, what you're drinking. I'm having an ice water and I'm having a cup of coffee, courtesy of 1111. This is the Cafe d'Art he sent me. And it tastes out of this world, and it's sweetened with some maple syrup. 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. Oh, you love my singing? Well, I keep recording. Now I'm learning how to do tape and edit the music so the quality is better. It's just something I always wanted to do when I was a kid. Now I'm doing it at 60. It's never too late to follow your dreams, right? So Joel Tilson is here to assist you. He's a wonderful man from beautiful Wyoming. If any of you are feeling like Whimsy's not seeing my questions, what he does for me is, you see how he makes it nice and capitalized, and that way I'm able to see you guys' questions. But he wants to know about Governor Abbott's house of cards collapsing. The best way that I can describe it as a remote viewer is that it looked like the DOJ was going to, that part of what's on with Governor Abbott and DeSantis is, again, the same thing that we saw with the January 6th insurrectionist, and the same thing we saw with Fox News, is that all of these groups have run afoul of the federal government. And the same is true for the militias on the borders. They've run afoul of the government. And it just felt to me like the DOJ, you can't kidnap people just because you're a governor. So it just felt to me like the DOJ was acting and may have gotten the Homeland Security involved. So the response to Homeland Security potentially investigating you for crimes would be to then go after whoever heads Homeland Security, which is that Mayorkas? Mayorkas, is that his name? So it doesn't surprise me that he's being attacked, and they're coming in like this is all his fault. Like the end of Title 41 or whatever it was has anything at all to do with Mayorkas. It has nothing to do with him. It's the fact that he was tasked with determining whether or not there should be prosecutions. That's what I think. So I think we can go ahead and we'll do the empath prayer if you guys want. We can. It's my I love the Sherlock Holmes movies, and I've always wanted to have a Sherlock Holmes hat, and I saw it at Goodwill, and so I purchased it. Yeah. So yes, Tina Turner, a fellow Buddhist. Yes, she and I'm this member of the same organization, a Buddhist organization. She got me interested in Buddhism. I read her book, I, Tina, and I thought, I want to learn how to chant. And yeah. So in a way, we call it shakabukaing when you introduce someone to Buddhism. So in a way, she kind of introduced me. It was kind of cool. Oh, the Duke electrical transponders in North Carolina last fall. Really? Copper Broom is keeping me kosher. Let's do the empath's prayer. When I get the order to blitz, blitz, blitz away, we will blitz, blitz, blitz away after that. Oh, you chanted with her this morning, Human Potential? Great. Sure, she had an amazing passing. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. All right. Looks like did we get the order to blitz, blitz, blitz away? Oh, hi, Geocosmic Valentine. Good to see you here. Anybody here drinking hard liquor for the happy hour, or everybody's just doing the coffee thing? Ooh, I got the order. Okay. Let's try and see if we can get any information about Governor Gregg Abbott. What is going on here? It's a coffee blitz for me. I love my coffee. Um, I don't know what's going on with Abbott, but they say his time is coming to an end. It does feel like I just feel like the federal government is so powerful. It was like a sleeping giant. It almost makes me think that it allowed itself to be invaded and the whole entire thing has been some ruse. It's almost been like rope-a-dope. I often felt like it's almost like we let them walk through the front door and then we surround them. But um, I felt a couple of years ago that everything was going to be okay with this kind of infiltration of the right by all this crazy. But we have him presented as a businessman. And so it's an interesting way to look at Governor Abbott of Texas in the sense that he made his decisions based on what he thought was good business. However, the problem with Governor Abbott is that he is associated with a wheel of fortune in relationship to another. Didn't he just get reelected, right? Um, but a wheel of fortune would indicate that the karmic tide could be shifting. His hope and this fear, there's some grief here, possibly due to certain incidences that have happened. I think it's because of the shootings that have happened. Is that right? But there's grief here for Abbott. And then what's interesting is it shows him possibly walking away from the governorship. And that's really interesting to me. Um, it's almost like he leaves the governorship because he wants to go into business. I know that's not what people want to hear, but this is a business card. This is like entrepreneurship for him, and uh, it's not bad, but he could be pushed out and headed towards the private sector. Why did you feel that he was on a house of cards, Joel? Because of what's happening with the shootings? You do one more on Abbott. I'm curious to see if there's going to be any prosecutions of Abbott because of what he did with the immigrants. There are people inside Homeland Security that support what he did, and that's the problem. He has a tremendous amount of support. He does present as being malevolent. There are also deaths, possibly deaths of migrants associated with him. So another investigation can be, did he engage in any actions that could have led to anyone's death? Is something that's coming up. So we have this aspect of him as strong, but also malevolent. The other thing that's coming up for him is like the people in the grave rising up, a judgment, this power of those. This is almost a card of a resurrection. The time of reckoning is associated with judgment, but it's also a time where that we sometimes think of it as when the dead finally have their voices heard. The hopes and fears of a case being constructed against him, wanting to bury a case that's being constructed against him, the final outcome. There's a possibility of recommendation for prosecution. We could hear more about it by August of this year. Also, there's something about funds or federal funding or hoarding of money that he's also under investigation for. So he seems to be, they're looking into misappropriation of funds and also mistreatment of immigrants. And we will know more about whether or not they decide to prosecute by this August. That's basically how it looked. All right, let's keep going. Good to see everybody here. Anybody eating or drinking anything interesting? Be sure and tell us. Also, tell us where you're at. All right. So Joel Tilson is helping me out today as one of the mediators for the group. So he's looking at your guys' questions and reposting. The debt ceiling almost solved. What do you think? I said 3.5 days on Sunday. We're now going into 4 days. Was I off? Was I wrong? Why was I wrong? What's going on? Is there going to be a conflict? Let's take a look. Biden, Congress, and the debt ceiling. Not good. It's not a game. That is what the Treasury wants people to understand. This is not a game. It's not a joke. It's not something that you use to. There is a real fear by the Treasury that the Treasury is being weaponized and that the problems may have to find their way through the courts all the way to the Supreme Court in terms of controlling the rights of Congress to interfere in this way. Because you have, is it Janice Yellen? Who's the head of the Treasury? You have this strong female, but then you have this influence that she has to deal with, which is the devil. That is the power of the purse, which is Congress. So you have these two things existing in the same space. One is this strong woman overseeing the Treasury, but then you have this, she can't do anything regarding the purse without the okay of Congress, a feeling of the devil over her. The other who she is dealing with, this is McCarthy, King of Swords. He's as cold as ice. Here's the problem. He sits in a 7 of Cups. 7 of Cups is to be confused. You don't know where to go. I think the problem is that he doesn't know what decisions to make because anywhere he turns, he's going to piss somebody off. If he agrees to go with Biden, then he's going to lose the support of the MAGA people. He honestly doesn't know what to do. The hope and the fear, Archangel Michael is there with the sword of truth. Is her name Janice Yellen? The sword of truth and also victory are the two hopes and fears. Here is King of Pentacles, which is feds and the justice or the courts potentially coming in, which means that if he issued Article 14, they could cause an emergency to go to the Supreme Court if they don't approve of it. So either way, the solution will be solved. What is of a concern to me is this kind of juxtaposition between this strong female leadership in Treasury and then that devil card over her, which would limit, she is chained by the devil. Yeah. So in terms of whether or not it's going to go to that extreme, let me go one more time. It will be resolved. However, it could potentially, it creates, the issue here is a wedge in the Republican Party. However, the final outcome is an 8 of Swords. It will be resolved. If he has to go with Article 14, they will respond by going to the courts. That is basically, and so it's just going to make them look ridiculous. So they should probably just agree. The only thing that happens is that he would sign Article 14 and then it would go to the courts and then they would look like a bunch of idiots. And I think Americans would be pretty disgusted. Yeah. Okay, let us keep going. Abbott to be gone, his cards, it looks like he's really, I don't understand. Help me understand, those of you who are lawyers, why this is even why they're on the fence about charging him. Isn't it just a blatant case of kidnapping? I mean, just charge him already. I just, I don't know. I don't understand why just because you're in a position of power, you're able to. If you or I did stuff like that, it would be just like Joel Tilson said. This is a case of human trafficking by Abbott and DeSantis. And that is precisely what Homeland Security has to decide, is whether or not it's prosecutable. I think it is. But I don't know anything about the law, but I see if it isn't it should be. You shouldn't be able to grab hold of people and move them from state to state and everything else they've been doing. So it's not sustainable sustainable for life. It's interesting. I was thinking about the war in Ukraine that's going on right now, and now there are these Russian militant groups that have declared war on Putin that are attacking Russia. I don't know if you guys know about this, Russian militants attacking Russia. And some of them are neo-Nazis, which is interesting to me. I was thinking, some of these paramilitary neo-Nazi groups are attacking Putin. And I was thinking, as somebody who studies mysticism, well, that makes sense because these two groups hold on to false teachings. You know, these are teachings that always end in destruction. It's just like the fact that uh, the guy from Wagner has been told to retreat. He's now trying to get out of Bakhmut, and it goes against the natural order to treat people like this. And so inevitably it's kind of like it self-combust. And so what you have is you have these two unbelievably toxic groups that ultimately are not only going to destroy themselves, but everything around them, including their allies. And that's usually how it ends. And that seems to be, unfortunately, what's happening to the old Russia. You know, it's very sad. Um, but yeah, you have two paramilitary groups, and one of them, I guess the one that attacked Belgorod, and I guess they've got nuclear weapons possibly stored there. But that group that's coming for Putin is aligned, unfortunately, with the neo-Nazis. But then you have another group as well. So it's just another example. If you believe destructive things, and if your religion is just destructive, if that's what you're holding on to, it doesn't surprise me that they both combusted. You know, they're both killing each other. I mean, the Ukrainians are not even part of the battles. I mean, they're just using their firepower to protect themselves against their own country people that are attacking them. And that's how this appears to end, you know. They've got to pull back from Bakhmut, and they've got to save their resources because they're dealing with an internal revolution. Yeah, interesting. There's a minor issue holding up the debt ceiling, Joel Tilson. Do tell. Oh, you're going to a surprise dinner from the Togo app. It's so the restaurants don't waste food. Really? I never heard of such a thing. The restaurants waste food. I would like to find out more about that because I got to meet some people. I got to get out. I live in front of this computer. We got to get out and socialize. Jeffries throw his hat in the ring. Jeffries was speaking today. Did you see him? Remember, I did a remote view and I said we're going to be seeing some more of Hakeem Jeffries in the coming days because I felt his energy rising up. I don't know if y'all remember that. Did I say that on Sunday? So he was speaking today. I just feel, you know, I was thinking, who would be the best person to be president of the United States? It's probably Hakeem Jeffries. But he probably not throwing him in the presidential race. What did I see for him? I did see something about him, though. Let's take a look. He would be a great VP to Cory Booker. That's what I think. They're friends, right? Let's take a look. He's very popular. Not yet, but he will eventually run for president because there's an exploratory research in his future. You can see his time in the Congress will end. He's got a wheel of fortune there, and then the sun comes out for him. And then you have this new beginning. This is a leadership or presidency role. That's how I use the Emperor card. Most people do. It's the Emperor or the King. Building an exploratory. This could be Three of Pentacles, constructing something, architecture, right? To determine whether or not to run. The Judgment. Ace would be successful. Ace of Wands. He's thinking about it. Not now. I think Cory Booker is ready, but I mean, I think we're not having a primary, right? We're just nominating Biden, right? We don't have a primary, right? But maybe after Biden, I think Cory Booker would be my first pick, and maybe after that, Hakeem maybe for VP, female VP. Maybe out of California, what's her name? Porter, maybe. Not because she wouldn't make a great president, but just because she's the new kid on the block. And so, whereas Booker's been around longer, and that's why I would think he'd be better for president. This is if theoretically, this is just me personally, if Adam Schiff would also be great for VP, but I would think Booker for president. You may have a different pick. He's vegan. He's very concerned about the environment. He's an extremely moral, ethical person. I feel very comfortable with, I'm not a vegan, by the way, but, moving in that direction. So I just think he's really great for the environment. He's a good person. So that was why I would vote for him. Jeffries is very brilliant, very well loved, very well spoken, very good at communicating across the aisle, which is why I think he would be an amazing ambassador, which is to the country, which is basically what the VP is. That's why I think it would be a good job for him if the opportunity were to come. Why would Tim Scott run for president? I believe because he's trying to beat Donald Trump. He's running as a Republican, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong about that? Let's look at Tim Scott. The future of Tim Scott. Yeah, ribeyes. Is that your weakness? Yeah. I never have these foods, but I just want the option. Like chicken wings with ranch dressing. That's, if you're looking at things you either never have or have it maybe once a year, the top foods, let's face facts, Big Macs taste good. I'm talking about if all the moral problems didn't exist and it was just a case of being able to eat what you like. Big Macs taste great. I grew up on them. Tacos with the hard shell, the Mazatlan tacos, right? The Tex-Mex tacos. Those are the ones we grew up in school. Remember those? And the Salisbury steaks that you could bounce off the wall. Whatever. Anyway, Tim Scott. Blue cheese branch. I like branch more than blue cheese. Everybody has a different flavor, but that they like, whether it's blue or ranch. But I love buffalo wings. I love them. When I first got back to America, I hadn't been here in I don't know how many years, over a decade. I'd been living in Israel. And what do you think I wanted to eat when I came back to America? We hadn't had buffalo wings invented yet, believe it or not. And somebody took me out and they ordered some buffalo wings and I tried them and I dipped. Wasn't kosher, by the way. And I thought that's the most delicious thing I've ever eaten in my life. And then the other things that I craved, none of this stuff I think is kosher, is nacho cheese flavored Doritos. I craved those. You can't get those in Israel. Maybe you can now. I couldn't get them then. And you can't get Dr. Pepper. Totally, these are things from my childhood, right? That when you live abroad, you start to think things that you would never think that you miss that you couldn't get when you live abroad. But anyone who's lived abroad knows that. But all through Europe, all through living in the Middle East, I could not get a hold of nacho cheese flavored Doritos. They didn't know Mexican food in the Middle East. They didn't know Mexican food in Europe back then. So I couldn't get nacho cheese flavored Doritos. I couldn't get Cheetos. I could get bonbon, Israeli bonbon with peanut butter. That was the closest I was going to get to Cheetos. Peanut butter flavored. I ate so much of that. Bonbon. On the lots of bonbon. I want bonbon. Peanut butter flavored. It's basically Cheetos that are made with peanut butter instead of. It's vegan, it's kosher. Because the cheese that they use is not kosher, so we use peanut butter instead. So basically with Tim Scott, it looks like he's not going to win because his campaign is confused. He runs a confusing campaign. First off, he's a bunch of red tape. So finding people that are actually going to support his campaign, he's going to people that traditionally don't back Republicans. So he's kind of put himself in a niche with an 8 of swords. The other thing with Scott is a lot of heavy work around this campaign. It may go nowhere. And then you can see here, 7 of Cups in the cloud would indicate to me that this campaign is directionless. Pete Buttigieg is another one that would be good for VP. I think that Tim Scott would be great advocating for certain kinds of things. I know he's one of the people that wants to buy up all these downtown buildings that are now empty and convert them into affordable housing, but also food growing. Remember when I had the remote, I had the vision that they were going to gut them out and turn them into hydroponic farms in downtown New York, etc. So one of the people doing that is Tim Scott. Somehow I wound up on his track. You go into the Akashic field, you start to pull stuff up. But what I saw was that engineers were going to go into some of those buildings in downtown LA, etc., gut them out, the old warehouse areas, and turn them into vertical farming. This is one of the guys that is going to be doing it. And good for him. These are great ideas. Here's why this is so great what he's doing. No more spending money and gas on importing fruits and vegetables because they'll be grown right there in downtown, right? Also, it's going to be less labor intensive, so it's going to be easier on the people that are growing our veggies, right? It's going to be easier labor for them. So there's a lot of that's really, really positive. So as an advocate, he does great work. He's just not going to be the president. You can see here, he puts himself in a knot, he walks away, doesn't really take off he's betrayed by his own, the work. Look, nobody's really behind this. Back and forth in the grave. But look at this. The truth comes out. He's doing some warehouse vertical farming. And where's WDC? Yeah, so that whole phenomenon allows us so that we don't have to be importing things from long distances. Depending upon the height. I mean, now they're talking about growing avocado trees. I mean, to me, that's wild. And you just have vertical lights and but I mean, I think an avocado tree can grow like 100 feet or something, can't it? I mean, that's crazy. But I guess if you have the height, why not? So that they would be growing trees Some of these places are also converted into restaurants. If you look at the one that's available in Iceland. So you go into these warehouses, the bees are there. The bees, by the way, are non-violent bees. They bizz around, but they don't bite. I didn't know that. I was freaking out. They're like, no, 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 they're not going to enjoy your soup. They're not going to hurt you. Of course, I'm always worried the bee is going to land in the tomato soup. But so you go into these hangars, these warehouses, and it's a restaurant. And so they grow the tomatoes, they grow the vegetables right there vertically, and then you eat a meal in the center with all these tomatoes and things growing around. And I thought that was really cool because it was similar to the vision I'd had a couple of years ago. So it was nice to see that Iceland had already started doing that because I'm kind of a futurist, right? Part of what I do here is to look at future trends as a remote viewer. We don't predict the future per se, but we look at future trends. And that was one of the future trends. So I think it's great. You know, he comes with the high priestess. He's really going to be opening up this new green economy that we've talked so much about, but he's not going to be the president. Yeah. Yeah, abandoned buildings become the new vertical farming and also new homes, new living. He's also creating affordable living. I also see under Biden, Biden's really, really, it's something that I've really see him seized with, putting an end to homelessness in the United States. I mean, we should have a lot more temporary and permanent housing, particularly for the mentally and physically ill that are never going to be able to pay $1,000 or $1,200 a month for rent. So it's nice to see that everybody's on. I just think that everybody is moving towards a kinder. We're all headed in a kinder direction. It's like funny that some people consider woke such an insult, but those of us on most people, they took a poll. What do you think about woke? Yeah, people are really waking up. It's a great thing. Like now people know not to, that if you have a dog you can't take care of, take it to a shelter. I mean, there's just a certain kind of awareness. You don't just dump it at a trash heap, right? Where we were even a short while ago in terms of awareness of how to treat each other, how to treat our animals, etc. The thing, I just see us growing really rapidly, becoming a lot more evolved. I mean, when I think of just how people treated their pets in the 1970s and 80s versus now. So I think everything is getting better, you know? And just also there's this awareness that we have to clean the planet, you know? You see how aggressive people are trying to clean up what's happening in the oceans. So I'm actually really optimistic. Let's see what else we've got going on. Anybody else have some fun questions? Oh, Shivani didn't eat any of those foods growing up because she went to boarding school where they grew their own veggies. Well, that's heaven on earth. I went to medical school where we grew our own vegetables. Bastyr University has a garden. And I had a fantasy when I was younger. Wouldn't it be great to be the kind of healing doctor where we grow our own fruits and vegetables? And then I wound up on the campus and it's like, wow, you guys are growing your fruits and vegetables here. It was funny. Like they were doing biodynamic farming and then feeding it to the medical students, crazy naturopathic doctors. But they would release bugs, friendly bugs. And I lived in the dorms on the 4th floor of the medical school, Bastyr. Made some great friends. And the basement was where the cadavers were for cadaver dissection. So a lot of people would come to visit the 4th floor. They would have, drinks and hang out with us, play cards or whatever. And it would really freak them out that we were living on the 4th floor and that there were cadavers in the basement. And yeah, that was a haunted building. We were convinced. Beautiful area, though. The Bastyr campus is right in the heart of the Kenmore Forest. So we had owls and wildlife, and we had an organic garden. But kind of spooky being in the old campus building with those. Yeah, it's a good time though. I think a lot of it was in our heads, but we used to have a Halloween fright night in the dorms, and we would tell spooky stories in the dorms and scare each other half to death. It was a lot of fun. Why would Oprah get into government? Asked Delilah Gillis. I wasn't aware that she was getting into government. I know that she and Monique are having a huge fight. That makes me feel so bad because I like Monique. Does anybody know anything about this rift between Monique and how Oprah invited her brother who was abusive? I'm like, oh God, there's so much. Yeah, so y'all heard about that? Tim Scott is a less crazy version than Trump. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Let's see what else we're going. Oh, it was a rumor about her? Yeah, I don't see her. I think Oprah's in the wrong and Oprah should apologize. But yeah, I tend to believe the survivors, which is why I'm leaning towards supporting Monique in this. They're both survivors. That's what's so sad about it. I would never let somebody's brother come on in a situation like personally, but that's just me. All right, Pat BWI. What do you see for Katie Porter? I would like to look at that. You know, wouldn't if she be great as the first female president? I could see President Katie Porter. She has that kind of, you know, go Katie, go Katie. Let's see the future of Katie Porter. Anybody having anything hard to drink? What are you guys eating? Anybody having dinner for your happy hour? Yeah? No? Katie Porter's future. The Republicans in California are very threatened by her. There's a big effort out of California to get rid of her. They're putting a lot of money into her district to get rid of her. Usually it's the she's a nut, she's a slut is usually how you get rid of strong women. And there's you can really see the money coming in here. Look at this over her seat. Look at that hanged man and look at that money over the seat, getting her to hang it up. They don't want her running for the presidency. Look at this in the grave, a legacy. But what's interesting here also is another guy is trying to get in, and there's a money issue, there's money competition. But what's interesting is she could be stabbed in the back. Ten of Swords and Page of Swords. So she's got aggressive male energy really trying to screw her over, and it's right over her seat, trying to take that seat. She is really going to get hit very hard by, looks like sexism. But I wonder if, so I don't know, she may have a hard time holding that seat, and she may have a hard time if she's running for Senate. She's smart, but smart isn't what's going to get her in. What's going to get her in is she's got to protect herself from this element. She has a future in politics, but I don't know if she'll be president. She has a success. She has a successful future in politics. You can see here mastery, and also she'll get backing. Her opposition becomes impoverished in the end. She has a lot of research cards, like the Hermit card, the Mastery card came up for her, the Eight of Pentacles. The final outcome for her, a star and new growth awaits her. So she has a great future. Yeah. Obviously, she threatens the status quo, as they say, because that was something I really saw when I was watching the returns. Like, it took so long to declare that she was the winner because they had so fiercely fought to take that seat away from her. Yeah, I heard that Kathleen O'Malley is pointing out that Elizabeth Warren was Katie Porter's law professor. So what do you think about this rumor going around that it looks like Trump is about to be indicted for stealing classified documents that Jack Smith is ready to, do you think there's any truth to that? What are you all feeling? Our side says it's cut and dried, but is it really cut and dried? I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? The air is pregnant with indictments, says Moonbeanification. You think? Go, Jack. Go, Jack. Go, Jack. Throw the cards, Whimsy. Let's see. We can't. It would be cruel of me to end today without looking at what Jack is up to. I just think it's so crazy that this person was the president of the United States, that we actually, that this happened to us. Let's see. When will Trump be indicted by Jack Smith? Yeah, exactly. For years now. Jack Smith. Wow, it's worse than we thought. This is bad. It appears, based on what these Akashic records are indicating, and remember, this is an entertainment channel. This is just Whimsy being whimsical. This almost looks like you had those Russians that were arrested that were living at the Trump Tower. This almost looks like Donald Trump was selling stuff for cash and he was handing it to people for money. It almost looks like a financial transaction that he was selling these things, because you have this hidden information coming out about the president, the former president. But what's interesting is that he was caught taking money or a bribe, Ace of Pentacles. So it's almost like he stole the things in order to sell them. Then he results in poverty. So this guy gets caught attempting to sell or gift something. Who? The president. It was, and this is to have something that was hidden be revealed. He was caught selling. So it's not just, according to what the cards look like, it's not just that he was caught stealing. He was caught stealing and handing them over to the enemy for money. That's specifically what it's saying. He engaged in an act of theft. I mean, the cards, you can read the cards. You don't even need a reader. This is the theft card. He attempted to flee or leave the situation. And then the Queen of Swords, who slices to the truth. She's as cold as ice, right? The Queen of Swords also comes to reveal the truth. Can also be, she carries the sword of truth. It can often be an indication of police action or action of the courts. And then there's a celebration that comes. So I think he'll probably be indicted relatively soon. But the takeaway here from these cards is that it wasn't just that he stole. He stole and then sold the information to a third party. Lisa says espionage should equal no bail. Do people agree with Lisa? Thank you, Lisa, for the comment. Y'all agree? Feedback. Are there things that are this bad when you're dealing with something this bad? What do you do with this guy? So, say for example, he gets indicted in the next, we'll say because this was a blitz, they usually go a couple of weeks. We'll say in the next 2 weeks we see an indictment. What do you do with the guy? No bail. So where do we hold him? Where are we going to hold this guy? It's a really weird situation. I don't know. I really don't know. The only thing I can think of is house arrest over with his one of his children would be the most practical way to do it. But is that justice, having him locked in a back room? And, I don't know. I'll leave it for you guys to decide what should happen to him. Prince Charming's mom wants Alcatraz. Oh my goodness. Ooh, that's kind of harsh. Do you think January 6th would have happened with any other president? No. Do you think he instigated it? Yes. So what should happen to him? Rose Blue says Gitmo. Tweenie, the genie points out that life should be a little bit more fair. Same place that everybody else would have to go who broke the same laws. Alcatraz and Ghost, says Aggravated Progressive. I like how you think they're aggravated. Kathleen O'Malley, she wouldn't be surprised if he stroked out before prison. He doesn't take the best care for himself. Wendy Burt brings out an important possibility. Military facility, he was the commander in chief. Does that mean that they would put him in a military facility? I don't know. Probably not, because he's no longer the president, but could that be an option? Any lawyers here want to give feedback to the group about where you think the feds are going to put him once he's indicted in the next 2 weeks, it looks like. And it looks like that was, we had talked about the fact that they were choreographing with Fonnie Willis because she's planning an indictment on August 18th, I believe is the date that they had. Leavenworth is a military prison. Very good. God, that was so weird. The Walter Reed. Remember the Walter Reed remote viewings we did where you guys had me be Donald Trump, and I put myself in trance as Donald Trump in the hospital, and they wanted to check my brain for COVID brain, and I broke myself out because I was afraid they were going to issue Article 25 on me. So I ran away from the doctors before they could get any brain imaging. Do you guys remember that? And then as soon as I did the remote, he was like running away. Ah! Hey, Wims, you got it right. He did not want them looking at his brain. They were standing around and asking him questions, which made him think that they were questioning his mental faculties. And at that point, he left Walter Reed before they could give a definitive diagnosis. That's what I experienced. Okay, so we have another question. This one's coming from Geocosmic Valentine. Hi, sweetie. Good to see you. Do you get any hits about the date with the U.S. and Trump and also King Charles' reign? The date would be July 15th, 2023, if anything significant is happening on that date. I guess astrologically it's a big day. Let's take a look. This was fun. You guys have fun? Anybody having hard liquor? I guess I'm just having coffee. But anybody? Aggravated Progressive sometimes has a little something. I don't know. Pizza and beer. Dang, does that sound good? What kind of beer? Hopefully an African amber. That's the best. Okay. karmic wheel is over that date. An ankle bracelet at Mar-a-Lago they're talking about, maybe, Jill Otero. But usually they have somebody, the person usually has somebody there. I guess it could be Melania. Oh, Leavenworth has a psych hospital. I can't believe that we experienced this. I think this is proof that I'm really in a coma somewhere, because this could not have really happened, right? In terms of the energy around the country or planet, July 15th, 2023, it feels like we could be seeing the war wrapping up. That's the main thing. Remember, we've talked about the war, and we talked about the fact that when I went into the energy on Bakhmut, I felt the guy would flee up from Southwest, the weapons, etc., the revolution, etc., etc., and the counteroffensive. Everything looked like they had run out of weapons, and probably that things would start to settle down in the next couple of months. What's interesting is that this is a time of dreaming. It's like people want to get back to work. They want to come out of COVID. They don't want to be in a war. People want to get back into life. The spring is here. People want to make love, make babies, end war. And this is the time of the dreaming. The karmic wheel is coming to an end. I feel like at the time of war, this is a time of peace now. Also, the Queen of Cups rubs her lamp and dreams. This is the time of the dreaming, where the nation, the world will be at on July 15th, 2023. Our hearts were broken by what had happened, but now we head towards smoother waters. Six of Swords. So this is almost like saying that we could be seeing an armistice or an end to that time, and instead we are now moving towards the time of healing with the Six of Swords. Also, this is using war imagery here. For example, here, a time of rebuild, the Four of Wands, and then here is another war imagery, Ace of Swords, plowshares, right? Turning them into plowshares, peace and love, the Ace of Swords, and a time of new business and new growth. I mean, when you think about where the economy and what technology was like up until now, and you look at the new technology where we can grow fruits and vegetables literally in your building, this technology is it's such a game changer for putting an end to hunger issues, etc. There's so much that's changing, and it's happening so rapidly. There's a ton of stuff that's happening. I also see, like I said, floating cities. I've always had visions of floating cities. There seems to be some G-gravity force thing they develop. I know they're working on, now they have cold fusion. We have cold fusion. It looks like once we do that, imagine living in a floating pod. I can't wait. But we're headed towards this amazing time of entrepreneurship and new business ahead. If I was going to make any future predictions, I always see the same thing. The greening of America, it becomes very green. Parts become like England and Ireland because we have the more rain, but we also have a lot of positive actions happening in terms of planting 1 billion trees. For example, I see a lot of greening taking place in parts of Texas and Arizona. But wow, what a great time to be alive, because you really see the light bulb going off. Like, we don't have to kill each other and destroy the planet to become happy. We can actually help each other and have all our needs met. It doesn't have to be this way. So this thing that people are calling the awakening, whatever you call it, I think it's just that we've reached a level of knowledge as human beings to where we now know how to save ourselves. And that makes it an exciting time to be alive, a wonderful time to be alive. Final outcome is the Magician for all of us. So July 15th, 2023 is a time of empowerment, entrepreneurship, new beginnings in finance as we move away from old ideas and move towards a new paradigm shift. You had asked about King Charles. I think it's perfect to associate it with King Charles because he would have liked these changes to have happened 20, 30 years ago. I believe that's what he's gone on record saying. This is stuff that he wanted. He wanted everybody to be switching to green renewable resources in the 70s and 80s. So this is stuff, we're way behind where we should be from his perspective. So I'm sure he's thrilled about those changes. And Trump has no future. I think it's a grift. It was a desperate attempt to raise money because of his legal woes and the fact that he's underwater with properties that he can't maintain. And but he's got so many indictments coming down. He's already had one out of New York. He's got two more that we know of, and he's already lost the case with E. Jean Carroll, and he's facing more penalties with her. I love you too. So that's her way of saying it's time to feed me for dinner. Did you think that was passive aggressive enough? I don't know. No. Come in and interrupt me. Hey, it's her world. We're just living in it, right? Yeah, I mean, I think when this is all said and done, and I think we're now starting to feel like the boat is slowly starting to right, but they've done so much damage. Like they were bent on throwing out Roe v. Wade. You know, they did some serious damage, but it's also the best of times in the sense that there are more women running, more people that are part of the LGBTQ community. They're running, particularly in local and state elections. So it's also a really optimistic time. Yeah. All right, everyone. I am going to call it a day. I had a lot of fun spending my Thursday with you. Hopefully, you had a good time as well. Yeah. Did you all? She wanted you to know. She wanted to let me know that she is more important than this conversation, right? Churches are losing members. That's true, Joel Tilson, because the churches are teaching things that go against our ethics. So you can't be a member of a church that goes against your values, right? All right. Thank you, everyone. Love and light to you all. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, the information is below this video, tarotwithwhimsy.com, or you can just book directly through Booksy. If you need a 5-minute pre-taped reading, those are done through Wizio, and that information is below as well. Again, much gratitude to everyone who has joined and been a member of the channel. Thank you for your ongoing support. I will see the members on Saturday at noon Pacific Standard Time. That's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our private salon. We do offer free private readings, etc., for members. If you have not become a member, please think about doing so. It's a lot of fun. All right, be well, everyone. Thanks again. Take care.